Let's go, Mr. Driver. Chase HQ, a 1988 arcade game by Taito. Not one I saw around too much, certainly not. Well, I don't think it came out in this country in 1988, probably more like 1989, and I remember seeing it in a ferry port at Folkestone early one morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning, once on a trip to France. But one I don't think I probably played once or twice, and that's about it. The premise of the game is to race along, catch the criminals and bash them off the road. We're starting off on the Amstrad CPC, the version I had. If you've got a 64K machine, it's a multi-load and there's some speech missing. You've got 128K machine, it loads in all at once and you get sampled speech as well. The program is written by the same guy who did Burning Rubber and WEC Le Mans on the Amstrad CPC. So here we go. We're starting off. This is our target for level 1 and we're aiming for a blue British sports car.
Let's go, Mr. Driver.
So there you go, got lovely sampled speech. Wonderful mode naught graphics here on the Amstrad, really colourful. Looks very similar to the arcade, well, as similar as an 8-bit machine can get. I think this got the Golden Joystick Awards 1989 for the best 8-bit game. Also came top of the Your Sinclair Readers Poll best games of all time. In the game you've got 3 turbos that you can activate at any time that speed you up, and the game's very, very speedy here on the CPC. The frame rate does vary a little bit. I've been doing a few experiments just to look at the frame rates between the versions, and just now the frame rate, and you don't notice this when you're playing it until you start over-analysing it like I do for these reviews. When there's a lot going on, it does slow down a little bit on all the versions. Nice tunnels, and if you clip the side of the tunnel you get little sparks coming off. They're all nice touches and all firsts as far as I know, things like sparks coming off. You see that later in Burning Rubber on the GX4000. So here we go, I've activated the turbo and seen the sighting of the target vehicle, which extends our time, and now we're going to bash him off the road, and it's really fast and smooth for an 8-bit game. Big arrow there helping you see which car you're bashing off the road. And I am playing with an infinite turbo cheat here, just so I can get a bit further into the game, although I think everyone knows the cheat where you redefine the keys on the Spectrum and Amstrad as shocked, and use 1, 2, 3 and 4 keys to do various things. There we go, we've pulled him over. He's under arrest of first-degree murder. The car's on fire, and the enemy car does deteriorate as you head along. And it's all lovely, and even little lights at the top there flash. Slightly smaller window than a normal CPC game. I guess they've done that to keep the speed up.
Giddy up, boy.
And lots of variations of the sample, not lots of variations, some variations of the sampled speech that you get. And you get the helicopter come down. It's going to tell us which way to go. Lovely and colourful. We've got all the 5 levels of the arcade version here. And it's pretty much, they've done a very, very good job in porting this game. So there we go, we're going to head left. And I forwarded it on, and you've got these bridge things going over the road, gantry things. It does slow down a little bit here, but not too much. I think the CPC, from memory, is running about 9 frames a second, 10 frames a second most of the time. And that's relatively good for a CPC game, although as I say it does slow down a little bit when there's a lot on the screen, but you don't notice it when you're playing. And even when you finish the game and you don't complete it, there's lovely game over animation. So, moving across to the Sinclair Spectrum, same loading screen as the Amstrad, and this works on a 48K as a multi-load without the AY music and speech. On a 128K it loads in all at once, and you get the AY music and the sampled speech. Same introduction to the level as on the Amstrad. Slightly more high resolution graphics because the Amstrad's running in its low resolution mode, which gives it 16 colours, and obviously the Spectrum is a fixed mode setup, so it's in its standard specky screen mode.
Hold on, man.
And yeah, it's only 2 colours on the roadway, black and yellow, but it's lovely but it's lovely detailed graphics here. I really love the detail on the Spectrum version. It avoids colour clash by keeping the foreground there, just the two colours. You only sometimes see little things disappearing on the horizon, but not too much. So we've caught up with the criminal, and we're going to bash him off the road. Spectrum version's faster. It's a few frames a second faster than the Amstrad version. Not as much as you might think, certainly on some badly programmed CPC ports. The Spectrum version is significantly faster. But here, no, there's not too much variation between the versions. Just got to bash them off the road. And you get text appearing as well beneath the status display, just giving you encouragement from Nancy at Chase HQ, telling you you're doing your job badly, or your co-driver saying various things. All nice touches. I mean, it's supposed to be a Miami Vice setup, isn't it? Don Johnson and the other chap. Forgotten his name. And you can see that from the loading screen. I mean, the guy even looks like Don Johnson. Right, we got him. The other lovely thing on the game is, there you go, look, it looks just like Miami Vice, doesn't it? The other lovely thing on the game is when you go over bumps in the road, your car flies up and you can actually take down the enemy cars by coming up behind them faster, launching off into the air and almost landing on top of them. Helicopter also present on the Spectrum version. The Spectrum and Amstrad versions are pretty much the same. Everything, they both identical other than graphical and slight sound differences. It's very nice, and you get the colour change between the levels. So on the second level here, you've got a grey and black roadway. Then gives the impression of having lots and lots of colour by using the status display. It's not all monochrome, although the main gameplay, the main roadway area is. It's still very, very nice and very, very enjoyable. The car is extremely responsive as you throw it around corners. There's no lag. And yeah, very nice port here on the Spectrum. Over to the Commodore 64. And my friend got this on his Commodore 64 about the same time I got the Amstrad version. And he was boasting away about his C64 version, telling everyone at school about his exploits playing the game. And, well, we'll see. So you don't get the same introduction as the Amstrad and Spectrum versions. You just get a little text display down there telling you what you're supposed to be heading towards, and it just says Stage 1 in the main window, which is very disappointing. It's not emulating the arcade. No one seems to be bothered to put those screens into the C64 version. So we're looking at a British sports car, which we know from the other versions. And so far it looks like the Spectrum version with a bit more colour. And then we start to move, and the C64 version's running at about 5 or 6 frames a second, about that. Way slower than the Amstrad and Spectrum versions. The controls seem extremely laggy. There's no impression of speed. The thing that hits you about Chase HQ on the Spectrum and Amstrad is, especially when you've got the turbo running, the impression of speed. And Chase HQ on the C64 has no impression of speed. Currently we're maxed out, although we don't have the turbo running, and it feels like you're driving down the road at about 30 miles an hour. It's awful. You've even got almost a tribute clash on some of the roadway, or things by the side of the road there. If you look, there's almost blocks around some of the things, the trees. You can't see it at the moment, I'll show it. There, it's so horrible to control. I'm just off the road here, back on the road, and it's slowed down because there's a more complex section of roadway. Oh, it's horrible. And yes, my friend showed me this on his C64, and I couldn't help laughing because I had the Amstrad version, and when he saw the Amstrad version he had to pretend that it wasn't any better than the C64, because no way could he ever admit there was a weakness with the C64. But I think all our other friends persuaded him that the C64 version was absolute rubbish. And this is absolute rubbish. It's playable, it's just so slow. And I guess on a system where you don't have many decent racing games, you might want to play it, but yeah, it's pretty terrible, and I'm not playing any more of this rubbish. Over to the MSX, and this game was really, really difficult to load. I loaded it up 3 times and had corrupted graphics when I came to play it. Read an MSX forum which says, oh, it only works on certain MSX machines. And then I finally did get it to work, so here we go. And the thing that strikes you is we look at the Spectrum version, except it's running slightly slower than the Amstrad version. So it's a very quick port to the MSX. It's got the 48K Spectrum cell, and they're actually emulating the Spectrum beeper on the MSX. Don't know how, there must be a way of doing this. It moves along okay, it's usual MSX stretchy horizontal graphics because of the screen modes. I'm going to run all the versions side by side here so you can see the speed differences. Exactly on the same section of track. So you've got the C64 top left, CPC going clockwise, and Spectrum bottom right, and then we just come back up to the MSX there. And you can see there were massive speed differences really between the versions. So on level 2 on the MSX, and it's still identical to the Spectrum, just slower. Again, you're even getting the attribute clash in the distance when it's drawing the road, because although the MSX doesn't have those problems, it has limited attribute clash problems. It's just pretending to be a Spectrum. This is just effectively running the Spectrum code, I guess. And I'm guessing it's one of these games that's been ported quickly for the Spanish market, because there are a lot of games that weren't advertised for the MSX in the UK that got ported very quickly over in Spain to the MSX and were essentially Spectrum versions running on the MSX. So over we go to the Amiga, 16-bit versions. And I remember ChinnyVision fawning over the ST and Amiga versions, so we'll see how well they stand up. The extra level of presentation you'd expect from 16-bit versions. More sampled speech than the 8-bit versions because you've got more memory. And it's trying to emulate the arcade, so let's see how it plays. Right, so off we go. And it all looks very nice. But it doesn't quite have that feel that the 8-bit versions have. I don't know, perhaps I'm too accustomed to the 8-bit versions. It's lovely and smooth, it's fast. I think on the Amiga here, it just doesn't feel anything special. On the Spectrum and Amstrad, certainly it feels like a special game, and one you want to play, the one that's really good for the format and very enjoyable. And this just feels like almost like a cut down, cheap clone of the arcade machine. And on the Amiga, there's probably better games you could be playing. It's not dragging me in. It's not saying this is a essential Amiga game. It's just it's Chase HQ, but I guess on different platforms you have different expectations, and on the Spectrum and Amstrad you can be really blown away by something and enjoy it, and on the Amiga perhaps you expect a little bit more. So that's level 1 completed, go on to level 2. I also think at this time they were probably putting the same development resources into 16-bit games than they were into 8-bit games, same programming team sizes and so on. So the 16-bit games weren't always as good as they could have been. And level 2 is pretty ugly. Pretty grotty colour choices here. And this striped road, no need for that on the Amiga. It's the kind of thing you do on a C64 where you want to give an impression of speed. Don't like it. This could look as good as Lotus 2 does. And you've got this horrible striped road. Over to the Atari ST. Same loading screen as the Amiga. And the 16-bit versions of it are done by Tech Software. People who gave us Chubby Gristle. So you get the same sampled speeches on the Amiga. So So Ralph the Idaho Slasher is fleeing towards the suburbs in the British sports car, as we know.
Giddy up, boy.
So again, same striped roadway as the Amiga version. It's pretty much the same. Don't like the music. It just, I don't think it's a very nice tune. It's very just a beepy, annoying tune. It doesn't really add anything to it. It just almost sounds wrong. I don't know. The AY tune here just not very good. I don't know. It just all feels a bit lackluster here on the ST. Not really enjoyable. Over the Sega Master System, now this wasn't one of the Ocean ports. This is actually built as Taito Chase HQ with very odd box artwork and some variations in gameplay as well. But I thought we'd look at it, and you've got these opening animations, not really animations, just graphics. And yeah, there's power-ups available. Almost looks a bit like Spy Hunter in terms of the power-ups you can have. You're not going to get sampled speech on the Master System with its slightly beepy sound chip. So off we go. And yeah, this looks very different, doesn't it? Big difference really between the Ocean version, which mirrors the arcade, and the Master System version. It's quite different, and you get weird things like the road splitting there. They've handles that like Outrun does really on the Master System, and there's a fun element to it. The distance in terms of the sighting the bad guys works differently, because you don't get extra time when you get within range of the bad guys. You just basically close in on them from the beginning, and that distance meter goes down all the time. There's a lot of continues available, so when you have problems like there, you can continue, and the damage on the other versions resets when you continue. On this version, it lets you have the damage you've already got, so there you go, I need to get one more hit on him, although he's pulled away quite a bit. It's a representation of Chase HQ. They've tried to console-fy it and perhaps make it more... I hate to use the word child-friendly, but by this stage the Master System really was the junior system in the Sega portfolio, with the Mega Drive getting I can say more adult games. That's more aimed at teenagers, and the kids perhaps getting Master Systems, and therefore it just feels slightly dumbed down. Would that be a right phrase? I don't know. They've certainly changed it, and it's Chase HQ, but perhaps not Chase HQ as you know it. Certainly, again, someone's gone, oh, we need all these power-ups. No, you don't need all the power-ups. Why do you need power-ups? It's just someone's thought this was a good idea, but Chase HQ is a good enough game to stand on its own, really. Chase HQ. Well, in terms of the 8-bit versions, the Spectrum and Amstrad versions are where you really need to be looking. The Spectrum version came top of the Your Sinclair Readers' Poll as the best game of all time in the final issue of Your Sinclair. And Spectrum and Amstrad versions were voted the best arcade conversion in 1989 at the Golden Joystick Awards on the 8-bit systems. It's a really, really good game on those two platforms. The Amstrad version is very colourful, moves very well, is really, really fun. The Spectrum version has slightly more detailed graphics, it's slightly faster, but there's nothing really between the two versions. They are both excellent. The MSX version is a direct port of the Spectrum 48K version, but much slower. If you've got an MSX, well, yeah, it's a good game, but if you've got other systems at home to play, you're not really going to choose the MSX, you're going to choose the Spectrum or Amstrad. C64, oh my, when my mate got this in the C64 and I finally saw it and had the Amstrad version, oh my, that was just so much fun. I was smug for days on end, and it's so slow, and it's not really much fun, and it's not ugly, it looks like a really quick port from the Spectrum code and the graphics. all a bit shoddy, and even things like the introduction screen being missing gives the impression of a game that is unfinished and was pretty much unloved by its programmers. It could have been better. It would never have been as good as the Spectrum and Amstrad versions, but it could have been better. On the 16-bit versions, I find Chase HQ a bit lackluster. It's a conversion by Tech, who don't really have the best reputation, perhaps, for converting games. But you know, when the Spectrum and Amstrad versions are actually that good, and don't just look good, but play good and are really fun, then the ST and Amiga versions should feel that fun. They don't. The Master System version isn't an Ocean game, and I included it here for interest only. It's a peculiar port. It's not really Chase HQ. It takes the concept and it really feels like a Chase HQ knockoff. It's playable. You can certainly enjoy it on your Master System, but is it as much fun as the Spectrum and Amstrad versions of Chase HQ? Absolutely not. Really, if you're playing Chase HQ, get out your CPC, get out your Spectrum. You really won't regret it. On those systems, it is an absolutely fantastic, top-notch game. And if you got this far on ChinnyVision past the end credits, well done. Here's a little bonus. It's the little sequence you get on the Spectrum if you actually complete Chase HQ.